What's good, bro? In the past 2 years, I've lost over 15 pounds, and I make this video just to sort of reset all of the brainwashing and the belief systems in your head so that you can actually lose the weight that you've been dying to lose for the past few years. Because let me tell you right now, bro, if I were to describe the effects of being a fat person in just a few words, they would probably be, it destroys your self-esteem. Because let me just tell you a story. I remember this in raw detail, right? It was like 6th grade or something, and we had that like photo day thing where, you know, everybody gets a photo taken and they give you like that little paper that has the photo in it to tell you like, yeah, this is how you look, right? And I remember getting it back and just looking at my face in particular, and I was just disgusted by how it looked, right? Because I had like a double chin here. I tried to suck it in during the photo, but it didn't help. I had all this fat around my neck and my face that just made me feel insecure. And I remember being so upset about that I literally took that paper and like crumbled it up and just threw it in the bin, hoping for nobody to see it. And I remember that feeling of almost hatred, of that depression that you go through when you have all of these negative beliefs about yourself. Because it's so sad, right? When you're a fat person, it's almost like you stop rooting for yourself. It's almost like you stop believing in yourself and your abilities, right? Like after a while, when you get like fat shamed for so long, you almost just start taking it like a bitch, right? And honestly, it's like one of my biggest fears to just be fat again. Because let me tell you, bro, people do judge you about how you look, right? But let me just tell you another story. About 2 years ago, when I was still pretty fat, this was after COVID, so we were all still in schools, but basically what happened was we had this thing called the beep test, which is like this fitness test that you have when, like, you know, you run laps around the school gym and you have to keep going until you just can't anymore. And what I remember happening was I was like the super chubby kid, and I got a score that was literally below the furries. There were like these girls in my class who were like these weird furry Discord girls, and bro, I got a lower score than those people. Like, just imagine that pain, bro. You're literally sitting there looking at your score and realizing that you were the least fit person in the entire class. And of course, after that happens, you're not going to be backing yourself up anymore. Of course, your self-esteem is low when you're literally the least fit, least physically disciplined person in the class. Because guess what? When you're a fat person, that reflects who you are on the inside, right? Like, I hate this friggin' weird cope about like how it's all about you on the inside and all this like feminist bullcrap about how it's okay to be emotional and eat chips. Because you have to realize the shape of your body, how you're built as a person, reflects who you are on the inside. Because just imagine like somebody with a perfect physique, 6-pack, huge muscles, everything, right? He had to work for that. He had to put in years of effort into that. And so you can just imagine like the person that he became along the way, right? You can imagine he is disciplined, he's consistent. And then just compare that to like an absurdly obese person. He's an emotional person. He chose feminine emotional pleasure over doing a hard work. And so you can just realize like you're gonna subconsciously respect the person with a better physique more than you're gonna respect the obese guy, right? And bro, I think this goes even deeper than you could even imagine, because let me just tell you a quick story again. I remember just a few weeks ago, I just asked ChatGPT this random question because I just saw this other video about this guy talking about it, where he says, ask ChatGPT, if you were the devil, how would you weaken my generation the most? And so I asked it that question. After generating its response, the number one thing that it said it would do would be normalizing instant pleasure. And now just think about how you've been living for the past few weeks, bro. You've been eating junk food. You've been neglecting to do the basic things like brushing your teeth or exercising. You've been undisciplined with your schoolwork. You've been choosing weakness over and over and over, choosing your emotions, choosing what you feel like right now over what you know would be good for your future. And so just realize for a second, you were probably on the worst possible path right now. And now look at your friend group. Look at what the other kids have been doing, right? They're vaping, they're like maybe even doing drugs, they're eating pounds of junk food, complaining about their parents. And where you have to realize most people right now are choosing the weakness route. They're choosing the route of the average person. They're choosing the route of mediocrity. They're choosing to be somebody's bitch. They're choosing to be a guinea pig to these corporations who made these things like junk food and video games so addicting. But I can tell you right now, bro, this is actually such a huge chance for you, because even just think about it for a second. If you just did a few good habits and eliminated most of the BS that everybody else is doing, like you didn't vape, you didn't go and do random like drugs, you decided to do a few good habits like exercising and studying, think about how much more ahead you would be in front of everybody else. Because while everybody else is going downhill, while everybody's life is literally getting worse because of their choices. You chose to instead make it a better life. You chose to instead take the harder route that you know was good for you. And I am literally living proof of this, right? A few years ago, I decided to just do this one thing differently. I decided to instead take the harder route, take the route that I knew was good for me. I started doing things like resisting junk food, leveling up the skill of willpower, going to the gym consistently, even when I didn't feel like it. And I can tell you right now, bro, I am on track right now to literally be more healthy than most other teens right now. Fitness as a teen literally bleeds into every other aspect of life. Because when you're a fit person, shows that you have consistency and discipline. Like, it literally blows my mind, bro. If you just do a few good habits right now, you are effectively beating like 90% of teens, bro. And so it's your choice right now. Are you gonna choose the route of weakness that everybody else is choosing right now? Are you gonna choose to follow your emotions? Are you gonna choose to simply be mediocre like everybody else and play 1 hour of video games every single day because it improves your creativity and stuff? Or are you gonna choose the harder route? Are you gonna choose to not be like the sheep that everybody else is and start doing the good habits? Start rejecting this weakness that everybody else has become so accustomed to. You're only going to start respecting yourself, and other people are only going to start respecting you when you start respecting your future self and working to make his life better. Don't try and make yourself feel good right now with things like YouTube and eating shit food. Start making future you better today. Literally just think to yourself, how can I make future me's life better? And just do that. You don't understand how much of a chance you are missing out on right now by not doing this. Oh yeah, if you don't know me, by the way, bro, my name's Atharv and I help teens struggling with their weight and addiction lose the fat and pretty much become reborn, bro. And if you want more advice just like this, go down and subscribe right now. Anyways, let me just give you a few last minute tips to help you get onto this journey of being a fit person again. And the first big tip I'm going to give you right now is to change your identity. Because here's the thing, when you have an identity, which pretty much is how you see yourself, you're gonna have trouble moving away from it. If you see yourself as a gamer, if you see yourself as somebody who loves junk food and has a sweet tooth, well, it's gonna be really hard for you to stop doing those things because it's gonna be like fighting against the current of your behavior right now. But if you reimagine yourself as he who can lose the weight, if you start imagining yourself as this disciplined, consistent guy who is able to resist the bad habits, you're gonna be so much more likely to do them. And so here's a really interesting tip that I learned is that stop trying to just lose the weight. Because if I snap my fingers right now and suddenly made you like get the most insane physique ever, you'd probably lose it in just like a week. But if you snap your fingers and suddenly I gain 20 pounds, I'd lose it almost instantly. It would be so easy for me to lose it. And that's because I am already he who can lose the weight. I already have the trait of consistency, of discipline, of doing the good habits that ultimately would get me to where I want to be. And so you need to actually realize right now that it's completely useless and even stupid to try and focus on the weight. Instead, you need to focus on becoming he who can lose the weight. And so here's how you change your identity. Sort of works like an election. You have to vote for the identity that you want, and you vote for it with your choices. And so this is going to sound really abstract, but just hear me out. If you want to lose the weight, you need to give yourself proof that you are already somebody who can lose the weight. So for example, if you want the identity of being somebody who's consistent, well, you have to do something somewhat consistently to get that. You need to vote for that identity with your choices. And so here's how we're going to do this. What we're going to do is we're going to try and do those good habits that you want to be consistent in on a smaller scale. So instead of doing a half an hour or an hour workout, do like 5 squats and a push-up. That's all you need to do, because every single time you do that, that's like adding 1 vote to that election. Sure, if you did a 3-hour workout, that would be like 10 votes, but you're not there yet. And another thing is that if you just do 5 minutes of exercise every single day, getting just 1 vote every single day, after a few weeks, that's like 30 votes, 50 votes. And so all of a sudden you have to realize we need to extend our timeline so that we can let the identity form that will eventually get us to where we want to be. Because losing weight isn't a 2-week thing. It takes months, even years for you to do that. And so we need to build this foundation, this identity before we can actually do that. And we do this by just adding a little bit of XP, adding some minor votes in until eventually we look back and realize that we're a completely new person. I'm telling you, bro, when I started that protocol of just doing the small habits consistently, it literally only took me like 2 weeks to actually get those results. And so, bro, if you do this right now, I swear to God, you will have a completely different life in just a few weeks. If you want more values just like this, go down and subscribe. And as always, bro, my name's Atharv. See you soon.